Hey, Algebra 2, just here again, start of another week. Hopefully you guys are ready for this. So we've got a pretty good week ahead of us. Some cool things happening with our school social and, just being able to talk amongst each other and share some spirit. Pretty neat stuff. Keep up with all their social media pages and just refer to it often this week. Again, we're just kind of jumping into a new topic. We're talking about trigonometry, so pretty exciting. We're just going to be introducing it, and I'll give you a little bit of forecasting. So we're not going to be diving into everything that our textbook dives into about trigonometry. Part of that is because those of you who are going to continue on to calculus and more things, you're going to learn this stuff whether you thought you would or not. So you're going to learn everything that's in the textbook plus a lot more. And as well, I don't really have the tools to be able to do that outside of the classroom. I'm still figuring out this remote learning, and I am trying to do better and better. And maybe, depending on how much better I get and what tools we acquire in the next few weeks, we might revisit some of this trigonometry. But for right now, we're just going to kind of, maybe you remember some of this, maybe you did it in geometry, maybe you've done it before and you recall some of this. If not, then, we are going into new territory. You have a cool opportunity to learn some more about trigonometry and really sink in and just really grasp it. So my goal is that you would understand the basics of trigonometry so well that whenever your next teacher comes along and starts to build on that, you'll be right there with them. You won't have any lag. You won't be forgetting anything. You will know this backwards and forwards. So that's my goal, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into it. So we're going to jump into our introduction, just an introduction to the idea of trigonometry. So some of us know what it's about, some of us maybe not, but we're going to kind of do that. I'm just trying, my goal is to introduce you to what trigonometry is. Just think back, okay? We're thinking back to, a time long ago where there's just these amazing thinkers. You can think of some of those Greek philosophers, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. Some of those maybe you've heard, some of them you maybe have never heard, okay? But these are the amazing thinkers. There's so much happening just philosophically, but also in the engineering world, also in the mathematics world, also in the science world. So much is happening right now during this time of Greek expansion and their influence. So at the peak of that, there were some really truly amazing engineers, philosophers, thinkers, kind of like a whole Renaissance period really for the Greeks. So a lot of them have been forgotten by time, most of them overshadowed by people who discovered things during the Renaissance and things that were later proven untrue. But some have had an impact that lasted, and we still study about them today. Can you think of maybe one such Greek person that we study about concerning math? We talk about it pretty often. I mean, it's really through and through. Every high school math teaches this. So, anybody? Okay. Pythagoras, right? Okay, Pythagoras. He's most well known for his theorem, right? The Pythagorean theorem. Okay, that's his theorem. He kind of worked with it, made it famous. These are, things that are happening in Greece construction-wise are incredible. I mean, you look at Athens, you can go there today and you can see all around Athens just so many monuments and structures still there today. Even just the columns, those amazing things. And you think man, we can't even make houses that hold up during hurricanes, and this place, lasted through a volcano, and just all kinds of crazy stuff that they really, really did a good job constructing and engineering these things without all the tools and giant cranes and mechanical machines and just things that we have today that we take for granted. They didn't have those things, and they were still able to accomplish these great feats. And some of them, it's just everything is built so well, and you're like, man, how did they do that? I mean, it was thousands of years ago, and they did such a great job. How did they do that? So some of the engineering feats, some of these great thoughts came from people like Pythagoras using theorems similar to this Pythagorean theorem, being able to find more about right triangles, right angles, and just a lot of geometry that helps get us into our thinking of how we can engineer, how we can design things, how things can look, curves, circles, arches, triangles, just all kinds of things that we're getting into. The Pythagorean theorem helped us, and it still helps us today. It helps us understand so many things about shapes and math and distance formula and just so many awesome things that this helps with. Well, this was only the foundation, the building blocks, really, for a whole new area of math that has been created, and that's called trigonometry. Trigonometry is incredible math that you're just, as you start studying it more, those of you who go into calculus and you see just this combination of trigonometry and algebra, and you're going to see the world start falling into triangles and everything, every shape, every piece of the world around you. It's going to start turning into, oh man, I can see how this was made. I can see that they used this right angle and this theorem, and it's just really incredible. Those of you who are curious about some of those things, be curious. Keep that curiosity up. It should be piqued. You should be wanting to learn more and more about the world around you and how you can break it down, how God created it with such order, and man is just figuring out some of that order and trying to replicate it. It's just really, truly incredible. So, trigonometry, the foundation of trigonometry kind of was that Pythagorean theorem. Trigonometry literally means trigon, or trigon, which stands for triangle, and metric, meaning measure. So triangle measures, measuring triangles. That's pretty much all of trigonometry. So if you're wondering how you can sum it up, it's triangles and measurement. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're going to be able to launch into so much higher computation. So trigonometry is literally what you think of like rocket science. Like, that is all kinds of trigonometry and geometry, just all kinds of stuff piled together, much higher computations, and a lot of engineering has to do with trigonometry. Just so much architecture. Man, this is going to be like where you live in trigonometry. So, stuff like that, engineers, architects, physicists. Physics has so much to do with trigonometry. I remember in high school I was taking both of them at the same time, and sometimes it's just like the lessons paralleled each other, like they were just one right after the other, using the same things. Chemistry, chemical engineers, they use some of these things to kind of understand the way that the connections are made through different molecules. It's just really incredible. Analysts who analyze data, and so many more. Incredible amounts of positions, jobs, titles you need trigonometry for, especially those of you who are considering a field that is much higher in education, honestly a higher pay, but also a much higher responsibility. And you've got to be able to know this stuff. So hopefully this starts to, it's called whet your appetite, or, get you a little bit more interested in trigonometry. I'm not hoping for this to be like an all-inclusive course, like you're going to know everything there is to know about trigonometry. This is just a couple of weeks where we're going to talk more and more about trigonometry, and that's what I'm hoping to do. So if you're interested, let's dive in. Let's go get it. You guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in our next video. Be blessed.